Have you ever felt like you're different from everyone else, not just in the way you think or act, but in how you process your past experiences? Maybe you've noticed someone in your life who seems to carry herself with an air of mystery, strength, and barely concealed pain. Today we're going to explore something fascinating: the unique world of damaged Sigma women. These aren't your typical strong, independent women stories. We're diving deep into the peculiar signs that set them apart. Before we dive in, let me tell you why this topic matters. In a world obsessed with fitting people into neat little boxes, Alpha, Beta, Omega Sigma women stand apart. They're the lone wolves, the independent thinkers, the ones who make their own rules. But when these natural rebels carry emotional scars, they develop fascinating coping mechanisms and behavioral patterns that most people never notice. Let's uncover these hidden signs together. The hidden world of Sigma women. Picture walking into a room full of people. The alpha female is easy to spot. She's commanding attention, leading the conversation. But the Sigma woman? She might be quietly observing from the corner, or she might be engaging in fascinating one-on-one conversations. She's there, but she's different. When this natural independence combines with emotional damage, it creates a unique set of characteristics that most people misunderstand or overlook entirely. You see, damaged Sigma women aren't just independent. They've learned to transmute their pain into power, their isolation into insight, and their wounds into wisdom. But this transformation comes with some peculiar side effects that we're about to explore in detail. 1. The midnight philosopher. In the quiet hours when the world sleeps, she comes alive. A damaged Sigma woman doesn't just experience occasional insomnia. She develops an entirely different relationship with the night. Between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m., you might find her deep in contemplation, not because she can't sleep, but because this is when her mind feels most free to explore its depths. During these nocturnal sessions, she might rearrange her entire living space, not out of restlessness, but as a physical manifestation of her internal reorganization. She writes pages upon pages in her journal, connecting dots between past experiences that others wouldn't even notice. These aren't random late-night thoughts. They're profound insights born from pain and processed in solitude. The weird part? She's not fighting these sleepless nights. Instead, she's transformed them into her personal therapy sessions. While others count sheep, she's counting lessons learned, analyzing patterns, and building a stronger version of herself in the darkness. 2. The paradoxical perfectionist. This trait is where things start getting really interesting. Unlike traditional perfectionists who maintain consistently high standards across all areas of life, a damaged Sigma woman's perfectionism manifests in seemingly contradictory ways. She might spend 3 hours perfecting a work presentation down to the last comma, then drive home to an apartment where dishes have been piling up for days. But here's what makes this truly fascinating: these aren't random inconsistencies. Each area where she demands perfection has been carefully chosen, often representing aspects of life where she once felt powerless or suffered significant setbacks. Her perfectionism isn't about maintaining appearances. It's about maintaining control over specifically chosen battlegrounds. You might find her obsessing over mastering obscure skills like ancient languages or quantum physics, while seemingly neglecting more conventional achievements. This selective perfectionism isn't random. It's her way of rebuilding herself on her own terms, focusing intense energy on areas that matter to her personal growth, while deliberately letting go of societal expectations that don't serve her healing process. 3. The emotional time traveler. Let's talk about one of the most intriguing traits of a damaged Sigma woman: her unique relationship with time and emotion. While most people stay firmly anchored in the present moment, she exists in multiple emotional timelines simultaneously. It's like she's running a complex operating system that processes past, present, and future all at once. During a casual coffee chat, you might notice her eyes suddenly go distant. She's still there, still listening, but part of her mind has been transported elsewhere. This isn't simple daydreaming or distraction. It's her brain processing trauma in real time, making connections between past experiences and present situations. She might be sitting in a business meeting while simultaneously processing a decade-old emotional wound that the current discussion just triggered. What makes this truly weird? She's actually more present than most people, even when she seems to drift away. Her emotional time travel gives her an uncanny ability to spot patterns, predict outcomes, and understand deeper meanings in seemingly simple interactions. It's like she's developed emotional radar that operates across different time zones of her life. 4. The selective social butterfly. This is where traditional understanding of Sigma personalities gets completely flipped on its head. A damaged Sigma woman isn't simply an introvert or an extrovert. She's developed a fascinating hybrid approach to social interaction that confuses most people around her. One week, she might host an elaborately planned dinner party. orchestrating every detail and engaging deeply with each guest. She'll remember everyone's dietary preferences, create the perfect playlist, and facilitate meaningful conversations that leave people feeling truly seen and heard. Then, without warning, she'll disappear entirely from the social scene for weeks or months. The truly weird part. During her social appearances, she's not just present, she's magnetic. She has an ability to create intimate connections instantly, making people feel like they've known her for years. But these intense social performances are carefully balanced with periods of complete isolation. It's not mood swings or fleckiness, it's a carefully calibrated system of engagement and recovery that she's developed to protect her energy while still maintaining meaningful connections. 5. The intensity collector. Now, this is where things get really fascinating. A damaged Sigma woman doesn't just collect things, she collects intensities. This isn't your typical hobby collecting or casual interest in various subjects. She develops deep, almost obsessive relationships with seemingly random areas of knowledge or experience. You might find her maintaining detailed spreadsheets of every dream she's had in the past year, complete with color coding and cross-references. Or perhaps she's gathered an extensive collection of vintage medical instruments, each with its own researched history and significance. These collections aren't about the items or information themselves, they're about creating order from chaos, finding patterns in randomness. What makes this truly weird? The intensity with which she approaches these collections often seems disproportionate to their apparent significance. But look closer, and you'll see that each collection serves as a metaphor for some aspect of her emotional healing. That extensive tea collection. It's not about the tea, it's about reclaiming comfort and ritual. The carefully cataloged book collection. It's her way of organizing and understanding different perspectives on life. 6. The unconventional comfort seeker. This trait often leaves people scratching their heads in confusion. While most people seek comfort in predictable ways, a warm bath, a favorite movie, comfort food, a damaged Sigma woman creates entirely unconventional comfort zones that often seem paradoxical to others. She might find peace in environments that most people find stressful, like sitting in busy airport terminals or organizing complicated spreadsheets. You might find her wearing heavy sweaters in summer or light clothing in winter, not out of discomfort with temperature, but as a way of maintaining her unique sensory boundaries with the world. The truly bizarre aspect. These comfort-seeking behaviors often look like discomfort to outside observers. She might choose to work in a noisy cafe rather than a quiet office, or prefer sleeping on a hard floor sometimes instead of her comfortable bed. These aren't random choices or acts of self-denial, they're carefully cultivated comfort strategies that help her maintain control over her sensory and emotional environment. 7. The emotional archaeologist. This trait sets the damaged Sigma woman apart in how she processes and understands emotions. While others might simply feel sad or happy, she approaches her emotional experiences like an archaeologist approaching an ancient civilization with careful analysis, documentation, and a search for deeper meaning. She doesn't just experience emotions, she excavates them. You might find her keeping detailed emotional journals, not just recording what she feels, but analyzing the layers of each emotion like sedimentary rock. She'll trace patterns across years, making connections between seemingly unrelated emotional experiences to uncover the deeper narratives of her psychological life. What makes this truly unique? She's not just self-aware, she's developed an almost scientific approach to emotional intelligence. She might create complex systems to track her emotional responses, complete with charts, graphs, and detailed analyses. This isn't overthinking, it's her way of transforming emotional chaos into understanding. 8. The reverse people pleaser. Here's where we see one of the most counterintuitive behaviors of a damaged Sigma woman. Unlike the traditional people pleaser who bends over backward to meet others' expectations, she's developed an almost reflexive need to challenge and subvert those expectations, but not in the way you might think. If someone expects her to be broken by a setback, she'll thrive. If they expect her to fail at something, she'll master it. But here's the twist, she's not doing this out of spite or rebellion. She's doing it as a way of reclaiming her narrative and proving to herself that she can transcend the limitations others place on her. The truly weird part? She's not trying to prove others wrong, she's trying to prove herself right about her own capabilities. This often results in achievements that seem to come out of nowhere, skills that no one expected her to develop, and successes in areas where others might have written her off. 9. The time bender. The final and perhaps most mystifying trait of a damaged Sigma woman is her unique relationship with time itself. She seems to exist in a reality where time flows differently than it does for others, creating patterns that defy conventional logic. She might spend months meticulously planning something, then make life-changing decisions in minutes. Her sense of urgency doesn't follow normal patterns. She could be completely calm during an actual emergency, but become intensely focused on finishing a seemingly trivial task at an odd hour. What makes this truly bizarre? Her time-bending tendencies aren't random, they're tied to her internal healing rhythm. She's developed an intuitive understanding of when to act quickly and when to take her time, based not on external expectations but on her own internal compass. Understanding the bigger picture. When we step back and look at these 9 weird signs together, we begin to see something remarkable. Each of these seemingly strange behaviors serves a specific purpose in the healing and growth process of a damaged Sigma woman. They're not just coping mechanisms, they're evolutionary adaptations that have helped her not just survive, but thrive in her own unique way. These traits, while they might seem odd or even dysfunctional to others, are actually sophisticated survival and growth strategies. They represent the incredible resilience and creativity of the human spirit in response to emotional damage. Rather than breaking under pressure, these women have learned to reconstruct themselves in fascinating and powerful ways. Closing thoughts. As we conclude this deep dive into the world of damaged Sigma women, it's important to recognize that these signs aren't symptoms of weakness, they're evidence of extraordinary strength and adaptability. Each quirk, each seemingly strange behavior, represents a hard-won victory in the battle for self-preservation and growth. For those of you watching who recognize these traits in yourself or someone you know, remember that being different isn't being wrong. These adaptations, while they might seem strange to others, have served a crucial purpose in your journey. They're part of what makes you uniquely equipped to navigate life on your own terms. Before we wrap up, take a moment to reflect on these signs. Perhaps you've noticed some of them in yourself, or maybe you're beginning to understand someone in your life a little better. Either way, remember that the most interesting stories aren't about people who've never been damaged, they're about people who've taken their damage and transformed it into something remarkable. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you found this exploration enlightening. Drop a comment below sharing your thoughts or experiences. Let's create a community where we can discuss these unique aspects of human psychology openly and honestly. Until next time, embrace your uniqueness, celebrate your adaptations, and remember, sometimes the most beautiful things are created from what was once broken.